American homeowners in their 50s and 60s in wildfire risk zones are unknowingly feeding the next fire this spring. Not because they weren't careful, nobody ever told them which plants near the foundation burn fastest. These 16 native swaps replace that risk with permanent, fire-resistant value. Before plant number 1, drop your state right now, because your USDA zone completely changes which of these performs best for you. Find yours and pay attention. And the one at number 7, watch the nursery industry replace it with something cheaper for 3 generations. Do not skip this. Plant number 1, red yucca, an $18 plant that carries 0 flammable oils, while the ornamental pampas grass, 3 houses down, quietly stockpiles enough dry fuel to torch a fence line in under a minute. Coral flower spikes rise waist-high through the desert heat like something pulled from a botanical garden, blooming almost year-round against bone-dry gravel, while everything flammable nearby stays green and moist. Zones 5 through 11, full sun, sandy soil. In zones 8 through 11, those coral spikes almost never stop, blooming clear through fall each year. University Extension notes its thick water-storing roots resist fire even in the driest, hottest stretch. An $18 plant needs almost no water once set, saving close to $150 a year most homes spend on thirsty shrubs. Most American growers still overwater it that first year. Rotting roots built to thrive on neglect. That one habit alone can kill an $18 plant meant to guard the home for decades to come. That is red yucca, an $18 fireproof structural anchor most American yards in fire risk country should already be building their entire border around today. But the next plant on this list is not even a real willow at all. And what that name is quietly hiding changes everything about how you plan defensible space around your own home. And somewhere in this video is the story of a grower in his 60s in a fire risk state whose home insurance flagged his own foundation plants. That story is coming, so keep watching. Plant number 2, desert willow, a $35 plant that isn't a true willow at all, yet it quietly outperforms most real willows the moment a wildfire tests every leaf on the property. Orchid-shaped blooms in pink and burgundy spill from slender arching branches through the entire summer, drawing hummingbirds daily, while every leaf stays green and pliable even in the harshest July heat. Zones 7 through 10, full sun, well-drained soil. Despite the name, desert willow actually belongs to the trumpet vine family, not a true willow in any sense. Arizona Extension notes its leaves hold enough internal moisture to resist scorching even through peak summer drought stress. A $35 tree replaces close to $200 a year most homeowners spend on shade structures and patio cooling. Most American growers still plant it flush against the wall, completely ignoring proper defensible spacing rules. That one placement mistake alone can turn a fire-resistant $35 tree into a genuine liability on red flag days. That is, desert willow, fire-resistant in every single leaf, but only when it's kept the proper distance from the house itself, never planted flush against the wall. The next plant on this list solves a color problem most American yards face for months every year, blooming red, pink, purple, and white long after everything else nearby has already quit for the season. Plant number 3, autumn sage, a $14 plant that keeps blooming red, pink, purple, and white for months, while most flowering shrubs nearby have already gone fully dormant and completely dry. Low, compact mounds of color hug the ground along a garden border, staying lush and fully hydrated straight through the driest, hottest stretch of late summer heat every year. Zones 6 through 10, full sun, well-drained soil. Autumn sage blooms in red, pink, purple, and white, depending on the cultivar, extending real color through fall. University Extension lists its low, dense growth habit as one of the lowest fuel loads of any flowering perennial. A $14 plant replaces roughly $80 a year most homeowners spend on cut flowers for fall color. Most American growers prune it back hard each fall, removing the very wood that carries next season's bloom. That single pruning mistake can cost an entire season of color from a $14 plant built to last for years. That is autumn sage, a $14 plant that keeps color going for months on almost no water and almost no fuel load. The next plant on this list is nearly fireproof by design. Thick, water-storing leaves flame can barely touch. Have you ever grown sage? Not in a pot, not in a greenhouse, but right in your own garden. Plant number 4, Perry's agave, a $22 plant with thick, water-storing leaves so dense it acts almost like a living fire break, planted right along the property line itself, holding its shape for years. Silver blue rosettes hold their sculptural shape for decades, sitting heavy and fully hydrated in gravel, while lighter, drier plants nearby curl and crisp in the heat. Zones 5 through 10. Full sun, sharp drainage. Those thick water-storing leaves make Perry's agave nearly impossible to ignite, even under direct flame exposure. University Extension classifies it among the most structurally fire-resistant succulents used in Southwest landscaping today. A $22 plant is extremely slow growing, but it becomes a permanent structural anchor worth far more across 20 years. Most American growers still handle it bare-handed while dividing offsets, forgetting the leaf tips are genuinely sharp. That one small mistake turns a simple $22 division into an emergency room visit most gardeners never expect at all. That is Perry's agave, a fire break planted right at the property line. This is not here to make you afraid of your own garden. It is here because your family deserves to know exactly what they are handling. The next plant opens fresh. Tissue paper blooms daily. The shrub firefighters actually recommend near a foundation. Plant number 5, rock rose, a $16 plant that firefighters actually recommend planting near a home foundation because it holds moisture even at the peak of blistering bone-dry summer heat. Crinkled, tissue paper-like blooms unfold fresh every single morning, covering the entire shrub in soft color while everything else around it stays supple instead of brittle and dry all season. Zones 7 through 10. Full sun, sharp drainage. Every rock rose bloom opens fresh at dawn and drops by afternoon, renewing itself daily through the entire growing season. University Extension notes its high moisture content resists ignition through extended, punishing drought conditions. A $16 plant delivers real structural fire resistance that easily replaces $100 a year in mulch and maintenance labor. Most American growers plant it in heavy winter soil, forgetting it needs sharp, fast-draining ground to thrive. That single drainage mistake can rot a perfectly healthy $16 shrub within a single wet winter season. That is rock rose, a $16 shrub firefighters trust near a home because it holds its moisture through the hottest stretch of the entire year. But the next plant on this list is one of the last native bloomers of the entire fire season, flowering into fall long after almost everything else has already gone dormant. Plant number 6, California fuchsia, a $14 plant that keeps blooming brilliant scarlet color late into fall, long after most native color in the entire yard has already finished for the year. Tubular scarlet flowers spread low across the ground as a moisture-retentive mat, staying soft and hydrated, while summer-dried grasses all around it turn brittle, tan, and pale. Zones 8 through 10. Full sun, well-drained soil. California fuchsia is genuinely one of the last native bloomers of the entire fire season, flowering straight into fall. University Extension notes its low spreading habit retains moisture better than most native ground covers around it. A $14 plant replaces close to $90 a year that most homeowners spend on fall, blooming annual color displays. Most American growers plant it in rich garden soil, forgetting it actually prefers lean, well-drained conditions. That single soil mistake produces weak, leggy growth from a $14 plant meant to spread low and dense. That is California fuchsia, A $14 plant still blooming scarlet when almost every other native around it has already gone quiet for the year. The next plant on this list can live over 1,000 years in the wild, and every single year of that long life, it is actively resisting fire the entire time. Plant number 7, Curl-Leaf Mountain Mahogany, a $28 plant that can live over 1,000 years in the wild, longer than nearly any other native shrub found anywhere across North America today. Dense, low-resin wood holds its shape for centuries along a slope or property line, staying tough and moisture-rich, while faster-growing shrubs around it dry out and crack apart. Zones 4 through 8. Full sun, well-drained soil. This shrub can live over 1,000 years in the wild, among the longest-lived native plants in all of North America. University Extension confirms its dense wood resists ignition far better than faster growing resinous ornamental shrubs. A $28 plant becomes a permanent structural windbreak worth far more than its price across a single decade. Most American growers keep watering it long after establishment, when it actually needs almost no supplemental water at all. That single habit weakens root structure in a $28 plant built to survive centuries without help. That is Curl-Leaf Mountain Mahogany, a $28 plant still resisting fire 1,000 years from now, long after every faster-growing shrub in this yard is gone and forgotten. But before the next plant, there is a story you need to hear about a grower in his 60s whose own foundation planting nearly cost him his home insurance entirely. Earlier, at the start of this video, I mentioned a grower in his 60s living in a western fire risk state. This is that story now. He was in Zone 8, and when his home insurance company sent an inspector out before his policy renewal, the report flagged the resinous ornamental shrubs lining his own foundation, the exact kind University Extension has warned carries fire the fastest straight toward a home. He replaced that entire foundation border with native, fire-resistant plantings over a single growing season, and passed his full re-inspection the very following spring without one single flag remaining anywhere on the report. If you are still watching this video right now, this next plant is why I actually made it, not for the algorithm, but for the grower who genuinely stayed until the whole story was told. Plant number 8, Fernbush, a $20 plant already confirmed measurably safer than the resinous invasive shrubs most American homeowners still keep planted right up against a foundation wall today. Fine, fern-like foliage releases a soft, sage-like fragrance whenever it's brushed, staying supple through peak summer heat, while dense, oily shrubs nearby quietly build up dry, brittle fuel over time. Zones 4 through 8. Full sun, well-drained soil. Brush past fernbush, and it releases a soft sage-like scent most growers never expect from a fire-resistant native. University Extension confirms its low resin content is measurably safer than resinous invasive shrubs it commonly replaces. A $20 plant needs almost no upkeep, replacing roughly $120 a year. Most homes spend maintaining thirstier ornamental hedging. Most American growers plant it in heavy, poorly drained soil, when it actually needs sharp, rocky drainage to thrive. That single drainage mistake can rot a healthy $20 plant within its very first wet season. That is Fernbush, a $20 plant already confirmed measurably safer than the resinous invasive shrubs it was specifically bred to replace near any home's foundation wall today. The next plant on this list spreads into a living ground cover that starves an approaching wildfire of anything at all to carry across open ground toward the house itself. Plant number 9, Santa Barbara Daisy, an $11 plant that spreads into a dense, moisture-retentive mat, starving an approaching wildfire of dry, open ground it needs to travel across at all. Small white blooms shift to soft pink as they age, blanketing a slope or garden border in nearly continuous color while staying hydrated through the entire dry season. Zones 8 through 11. Full sun, well-drained soil. Santa Barbara daisy blooms nearly continuously, its flowers shifting from crisp white to soft pink as each one ages. University Extension notes its dense, spreading mat retains ground moisture far better than bare mulch or gravel alone. An $11 plant replaces close to $70 a year most homeowners spend on seasonal ground cover replacement and mulch. Most American growers plant it in deep shade when it actually needs full sun to spread and thicken properly. That single placement mistake leaves bare, exposed soil where an $11 plant should be forming a solid mat. That is Santa Barbara daisy, an $11 plant that starves fire of dry ground to travel across mat by mat. The next plant returns to the cactus family, an edible, genuinely useful native that resists ignition better than almost anything else. Here, have you ever grown a native ground cover, not in a pot, but right in your own yard? Drop it below. Plant number 10, Eastern Prickly Pear, a $12 plant with pads so water dense, they resist ignition far better than almost anything else featured on this entire list of native plants today. Flat-jointed pads swell noticeably after summer rain, holding on to that moisture for weeks on end, while producing a genuinely edible fruit most American growers never even try. Zones 4 through 9. Full sun, well-drained soil. Beyond fire resistance, Eastern Prickly Pear produces genuinely edible pads and fruit most yards waste completely. University Extension confirms high water content in the pads, makes it one of the most ignition-resistant natives available. A $12 plant replaces roughly $60 a year. Most homeowners spend buying prickly pear fruit and pads at specialty markets. Most American growers handle it bare-handed while dividing pads, forgetting the fine glochids require real gloves. That single mistake turns a simple $12 division into hours spent pulling hair, fine spines from bare skin. That is Eastern Prickly Pear, a $12 plant that resists fire and quietly feeds you at the exact same time, pad after pad, season after season. The next plant holds even more water in its leaves than almost anything else you could plant near your own home's foundation edge. And it blooms in vivid magenta all summer long. Plant number 11, Hardy Ice Plant, a $9 plant that holds more stored water in its leaves than almost anything else you could plant near your own home's foundation edge today. Vivid magenta blooms carpet the ground each summer, spreading low and dense across bare gravel while staying fully hydrated through the driest, hottest stretch of the entire year. Zones 5 through 9. Full sun, sharp drainage. Hardy Ice Plant stores so much water in its leaves it ranks among the most fire-resistant ground covers available. University Extension notes its dense, mat-forming growth blocks bare soil, leaving fire nothing dry to cross. A $9 plant replaces close to $50 a year most homeowners spend on erosion, control mulch, and ground cover replacement. Most American growers plant it in heavy clay soil, when it actually needs sharp, fast drainage to truly thrive. That single soil mistake rots a healthy $9 plant before it ever gets the chance to spread properly. That is Hardy Ice Plant, a $9 plant holding more stored moisture per leaf than almost anything else featured on this entire list of natives. And we have not even reached number 12 yet, where the ornamental grass everyone avoids turns out to be one of the safest, most fire-resistant choices in this entire yard. Plant number 12, Blue Grama Grass, an $11 plant that looks exactly like the dry fuel every homeowner in fire country avoids near a house, yet carries one of the lowest fuel loads of any ornamental grass sold today. Feathery seed heads curl sideways like tiny eyebrows above each blade, catching afternoon light across a native prairie-style planting all season long. Zones 3 through 10. Full sun, well-drained soil. Those curled seed heads give blue grama grass its nickname eyebrow grass, a detail almost no gardening channel ever mentions. University Extension confirms its fuel load runs measurably lower than ornamental pampas, or fountain grass varieties nearby. An $11 plant replaces close to $70 a year. Most homeowners spend reseeding thirstier turf alternatives each season. Most American growers let it go fully dormant and unmown right against a structure through fire season. That single habit lets dry blades build into real fuel. An $11 plant was never meant to become. That is blue grama grass. It looks flammable, but actually carries less fuel than almost anything else planted beside it anywhere in the whole yard. If you're not subscribed yet, here's what that actually means for you. YouTube stopped showing you content like this entirely, and Natural Verge posts fire-safe plant knowledge every single week. Plant number 13, Blue Fescue, an $11 plant with striking blue-silver foliage that keeps its compact clumping shape and never spreads into a continuous fuel bridge across the entire yard at all. Tight silvery blue tufts hold their color through drought, forming neat individual clumps that stay fully separated, instead of blending into one solid mat of dry, dormant grass over time. Zones 4 through 8. Full sun, well-drained soil. Blue fescue holds a striking blue-silver foliage color unlike any other ornamental grass grown in American yards today. University Extension notes its compact habit keeps fuel load contained, unlike grasses that spread across ground. An $11 plant replaces close to $65 a year. Most homeowners spend on decorative border edging and seasonal mulch. Most American growers crowd clumps too tightly together, letting individual plants merge into one connected fuel bridge. That single spacing mistake turns several safe $11 clumps into one connected strip of dry fuel over time. That is blue fescue, an $11 plant that stays contained and fuel safe as long as its individual clumps are properly spaced apart from one another in the bed. And now the plant that turns your own garden walkway itself into a fire-safe barrier, releasing fragrance with every step you take across it each and every day. Plant number 14, Creeping Thyme, a $9 plant so low-growing it contributes almost nothing to fuel load near a home, while doubling as a fragrant, walkable garden pathway all season long. Tiny leaves release fragrance the instant they're stepped on, carpeting stone paths in soft green, while contributing almost no dry material at all for fire to ever burn. Zones 4 through 9. Full sun, well-drained soil. Creeping thyme releases a burst of fragrance the instant it's walked on, doubling as a living scented pathway. University Extension confirms its extremely low-growing habit contributes almost no measurable fuel load near a structure. A $9 plant replaces roughly $55 a year. Most homeowners spend on decorative stepping, stone gravel, and border edging. Most American growers walk it heavily while the soil stays wet, thinning the mat out faster than it can recover. That single habit can leave bare, exposed soil where a $9 plant should be forming solid, continuous ground cover. That is Creeping Thyme, a $9 plant that turns a simple walkway into a fragrant, fire-safe barrier. This channel exists for Americans who've spent enough seasons making expensive mistakes they were never warned about. And if that's you in your 50s or 60s, subscribe right now, because every week brings new zone-aware, dollar-grounded content built for your actual life. Plant number 15, Woolly Yarrow, a $9 plant with silver-gray foliage that stays visually striking even under real drought stress. Most other plants simply cannot survive at all, year after year. Dense felted mats hug the ground and spread slowly, staying compact and fire-safe, while everything faster-growing nearby needs constant watering to keep from browning and dying back completely. Zones 3 through 9. Full sun, well-drained soil. Woolly Yarrow keeps its foliage silver and attractive straight through drought that would brown almost anything else nearby. University Extension notes its dense mat growth resists ignition while spreading slowly, never becoming invasive over time. A $9 plant replaces roughly $55 a year most homeowners spend on drought-stressed annual color replacement each summer. Most American growers plant it in rich, fertile soil, causing floppy growth that's actually less fire-resistant overall. That single soil mistake turns a tight fire-safe mat into loose, less protective growth within one single season. That is woolly yarrow, a $9 plant that stays fire-safe and attractive through drought that would ruin almost anything else nearby. The final plant on this list produces new growth continuously, one rosette quietly becoming many, at almost no cost at all. What plant, spot, or situation in your own yard has defeated everything you've ever tried? Drop it below in the comments. Plant number 16, Hens and Chicks, a $7 plant so packed with stored water in every rosette that it's nearly fireproof. And it multiplies itself for free every single growing season, without fail. Tight, succulent rosettes cluster together in shallow soil or gravel, staying plump and hydrated through the driest stretch, while quietly producing new plants all around the base. Zones 3 through 8. Full sun, sharp drainage. Each hen rosette continuously produces new chicks around its base, expanding the planting permanently every single season. University Extension confirms its high leaf water storage makes it one of the most fireproof succulents available anywhere. A $7 plant multiplies into a dozen or more over several years, compounding in value far past its original price. Most American growers overwater it once established, when succulents like this actually need minimal water to thrive. That single habit rots a healthy $7 plant that was built to survive on almost nothing at all. That is Hens and Chicks, a $7 plant that multiplies itself into permanent value while resisting fire the entire time, season after season, year after year. That closes all 16 fire-resistant natives on this list, and what you plant near your own home this spring decides how it performs the next time embers reach the property line. 3 things about defensible space landscaping and wildfire risk that almost no single source ever puts together in one place. Fire science research confirms that fire-resistant natives like these should sit at least 5 feet from the foundation. A simple spacing gap that alone can cut structure ignition risk dramatically during red flag conditions. Meanwhile, resinous ornamental shrubs like juniper and pampas grass are still sold at nearly every American garden center, quietly adding $2,000 or more in real replacement risk after a single bad fire season sweeps through. The one maintenance habit that keeps every single plant on this list effective year after year is simple seasonal trimming, removing dead growth before fire season peaks each spring without fail. 16 natives planted correctly can replace thousands of dollars in potential fire damage risk and insurance headaches with a one-time planting investment that only strengthens with every passing season it grows. Here is exactly where to begin based on your own zone right now before the next fire season fully arrives. Here is exactly where to begin. Zone to plants to dollar, no region names, no lengthy over-explanation. Direct action only starting right here, right now, today. In zones 4 through 6, plant curl-leaf mountain mahogany, blue grama grass, blue fescue, woolly yarrow, and hens and chicks for around $53 total. A cold, hardy, permanent fire-resistant border built to hold up through harsh winter conditions every single year without fail. In zones 7 through 11, plant desert willow, Perry's agave, rock rose, and eastern prickly pear for around $85 total. A permanent warm zone, defensible space border built and fully established well before peak fire season arrives each summer in full force. Miss this narrow planting window, and your first real fire season protection waits an entire full year for root systems to properly establish and take firm hold in the ground. You just received zone-accurate, dollar-grounded, research-based plant knowledge that most American gardening channels never put together in one single place at all. If this video gave you even one plant you had never considered for wildfire safety, hit like right now so other growers in fire risk zones find it too. Drop your state and zone below in the comments, and tell us which one of these plants you are planting first this spring near your own home. Subscribe to Natural Verge. 50 years of plant knowledge delivered every single week. for the serious grower who actually wants to know. Not just look.